Good morning, Tanya.
Morning.
Morning, Roy. Diane, good morning. Good morning, Kevin.
Good morning.
Morning, Catherine.
Happy May.
Happy May.
Right. Good morning, commissioners. Welcome. And Madam Chair, we are live and it's over to you.
Wonderful. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Tuesday, May 3rd, Washington County Board of Commissioners work session. Yes, it's May, the merry month of May. So the first item on the agenda is board and leadership communication. And so that I don't forget, if we could start with a review and direction on a draft letter that we have that's in our packet addressed to Results for America, titled Good Jobs and Equity Challenge. So this is an opportunity for us. We have been recognized already as a best practice leader. So this is an opportunity for us to move forward with a county application for the 2022 Good Jobs and Equity Challenge. What are the wishes of the commission? Any questions, comments, concerns?
I would comment one to our government relations folks. You have to respond timely. So I take no issue with that. And I know that was one of the things that they brought up, that they felt maybe they shouldn't step out of that box and bring things here. I think they had to. And this is very consistent with what we've been saying for months. And so, again, no brainer. I'm pleased that they sent it and pleased to support it. So that's where I'm at.
Commissioner Rogers, I think you're confusing two different letters. The one that Paige Spence sent us yesterday was with regard to the state broadband, the broadband fund for federal broadband expenditures. Right. This is a different letter altogether.
Uh-oh, I better look at that one. Which one is this one?
It's the one that's in our packet.
Chair Harrington, this is Nafisa. I should be on camera soon. I'm thumbs up from my side for this letter.
Thank you.
Results for America.
So is Pam Treese, Commissioner Pam Treese, I'm thumbs up. Commissioner Willie's thumbs up. Great. Commissioner Rogers, how about you? Great. All righty. Thank you, commissioners. We'll get a digital signature added to that and move forward. So, board communication, who would like to go first?
May I go first since I'm off camera, and then I'll transition to video while listening to others do the. Last week, I'll be brief. I had a really good meeting with a constituent in District 2, Brandon, regarding the county's land use regulation, or regulations, I should say more, for gas stations adjacent to sensitive areas like parks, schools, and certainly wetlands. He requested to meet with each commissioner, and I was happy to meet with him. It was a really good discussion, and he brought forward some interesting research from other areas in the country. Stephen Roberts has committed to a meeting later this summer when LUT will be starting to draft a potential long-range planning work program tasks. So we ended that meeting really at a good place. Last week, I've also had a great meeting with Metro counselor for District 4, Juan Carlos Gonzalez, And our conversation was mainly to talk about the growing interest in improvements for Farmington Road. And we talked about issues regarding lighting, safety, and a broader vision. So that was really a good conversation to sort of galvanize our efforts around everybody's interest in improving Farmington. And I also had my Maternal and Mortality and Morbidity Review Committee for the month of April. Obviously, I can't report at that meeting for sensitive issues that we always discuss, but it was a great meeting, and it's always a long meeting. And then last week I had my District 1 town hall. Cody Harris and John Mclaren joined us with the Sheriff's Office, joined us to provide updates from the Sheriff's Office and take questions from the residents that were able to come to the town hall. Some of the topics that we covered at that town hall included the BCHC cleanup. We talked about the residential side and the encampment side because, you know, this is an issue that we're not all on the same side and everybody have a different perspective. And then we also talked about the PGE project that's happening at Beaverton Creek. And then increased concerns for campers on TV Highway, as you know, are aware of. That issue came up. There's a lot of small encampment popping up alongside of TV Highway. Some issue that's been popping up in District 1 around car racing groups. And then we talked about the hike around car break-ins, and then we touched on the neighborhood watch. So it was a really productive and a good meeting, and really provided some safety tools that neighbors can implement to protect themselves and their neighbors. So that concludes my update. I'll mute myself.
Thank you, Commissioner Fye. Anyone else?
Yeah, I'll go next. There, I got to put the right screen up. So yeah, I've been over the past, I don't know, about 6 weeks, I've been meeting with all of the city councils, going to city council meetings for the 6 cities in District 4. And I went to North Plains last night, and then tonight's Hillsborough, and that will kind of put a wrap on that for a couple more months, and then I'll do that again. It's really good to have those meetings because I kind of bring them up to speed on some of the things that we as a commission are talking about, some of the issues we're dealing with, and then particularly anything of that's of interest to them because it's in their neighborhood, of course. Certainly the LIV tournament out at Pumpkin is of interest to the North Plains Council, so I brought them up to speed on the meetings that I've been having with those folks and continue to have. And then going back to Banks, I met with the mayor last week and just talked about the intersection, you know, for I don't know how long they've been talking about. Before I took office 4 years ago, they were talking about a roundabout or a street or a traffic light. It's finally been decided on a traffic light. Now they're trying to do some other modifications, and I'm going to have to reach out to Stephen Roberts to get kind of a little bit of an update and ask him a couple of questions. But they continue to work on that. It's going to be a really important part of improving their downtown, specifically their Main Street, and of course, the trailhead to the Banks Vernonia Trail. So we'll continue to work with certainly the city and try and make that a better environment and certainly more parking for the people on the trail. North Plains again has just finished their economic opportunity analysis, which is the first step towards identifying where in their city they need to be expanding their urban growth boundary, where they're going to identify either industrial or commercial or residential land, and basically where they're going to grow. So that's been a really good project for them. Met with them last week and went over that EOA and continue to hear good positive things from them and what they want to do. They certainly are anticipating, I think, and being very visionary for a city that's probably going to double in size again in the next 5 to 10 years. So we'll see that. The Fair Board, of course, is tomorrow. And then the last Friday, I attended the Forest Trust Lands Advisory Council meeting, and we had a presentation from regarding the economic impact study and the habitat conservation plan by the Department of Forestry and by and the Board of Forestry. Very technical discussions. The commissioners that are voting on Forest Trust Lands, I am not a voting member, but they're meeting again. They are very unhappy with some of the proposals that are coming out from this project. I won't call it a project, I guess the HCP. And I'd like to, I guess it's very complex and there's a lot of information to it. So I'm trying to figure out how I can best communicate to all the commission. And going forward, they are going to have more meetings in the next few weeks. And they have asked to set in these meetings as basically as contract holders and stakeholders. And so far, ODF has denied their presence to be sitting at the table. They can certainly attend at the public meeting, but not sit at the table. So that's particularly frustrating to them as well. So let me see if I can kind of wrap that up, summarize that, and get some information out to the commission so that you can be fully advised as to this conversation and certainly a very important study. So that's all I got.
Well, since given the updated schedule, it might be of use to have the topic come in a work session during the month of July or early August.
Well, considering they have 2 more meetings scheduled in the next 2 weeks, again, we can certainly do that, Chair. But so I'll be attending those meetings and I'll keep the board up to speed on that. And whenever we can get that scheduled, that's a good idea.
But what I'm referring to is the Oregon Board of Forestry decision point that's coming up in September. Any other commissioner updates? Go ahead, Commissioner Treese.
Morning. Thank you, Chair. A few things. Last week I had an update meeting with Representative Mclaren. She's still working hard on the I-5 bridge project. She's very committed and doing a lot of work there. There's been an update, and I'm not sure where that stands right now, but I'm just reporting that I had the meeting with her. I attended the MPAC meeting last week. There was an update on the status of Redwell's Metro solid waste facility license, and that's different, obviously, than what we're dealing with. And their Oregon DEQ permit. There was a climate-friendly, equitable communities rule-making update from DLCD, from Kristen Green there. And there was also an update from Kim Ellis on the work plan and public engagement plan for the 2023 Regional Transportation Plan update. We also approved nominations for MTAC, the technical advisory arm to MPAC. The next meeting I attended was the Pre-Referral Campaign Steering Committee for the pre-K program, and I attend those meetings to understand what's happening. I just want to make sure everybody knows that. And they went over the polling results from their poll. It's no surprise that there was positive feedback for the concept of preschool for all, but it certainly gets very tricky when we start talking about how to fund that. So I'm there, and that's why I attend. I did provide testimony to OTC. It was a last minute situation, and I really appreciated the support from LUT and the talking points that I got from Chris Defaba. But the purpose of that testimony was to provide to reemphasize the support that we've all agreed on for the allocation of additional funding for the I-205 Phase 1A improvements project. So that happened last Friday. Yesterday, I went out to Riggs Road. We're going to be talking about that today. I'll provide more information when we talk about that, but I could not attend because I was ill the last week. So I did go out this week and listened, and it's a really interesting situation, and the people there are very, very committed, as you all have had those experiences. So I really appreciated the opportunity to be there to hear. Erin Wardell came out as well, and she provided a perspective for the residents of that area, and Megan McKibben was with me as well. So it was a lot. So we'll talk about that more later today. Thank you. Oh, excuse me. I do have the government relation interviews later this week, the final interviews for that position, and I will be attending the WCVA reception.
Oh, wonderful. That's great. Can I step back to MPAC? And this is a question to both you and Commissioner Fye. As I'm an alternate to JPAC, I received the RTP workshop invitations for JPAC. There's like 4 of them coming up. And I wondered, given that the RTP will be going to MPAC as well, are these joint MPAC, JPAC work sessions, or Commissioner Fye, do you have them covered?
I don't believe I've received invitations to those.
Okay.
So at this point, I'm saying I don't think so. I can tell you a little bit of a side note before Commissioner Fye enters. Our meetings with staff, Commissioner Fye and I are going to be meeting together with Chris Defabach and staff. So that allows us the opportunity to make sure we're on the same page around the 2 committees. So, okay. Which is a little bit of a side note, but it does pertain to issues like the one you just raised.
Okay, all righty. Well, we'll have to make sure that Daniel syncs up. Go ahead, Commissioner Fye.
We have them covered on our end, but yeah, we can link with Daniel. Brenda can.
Yeah. I just want to make sure that if I need to be at the ready, that I've done the appropriate job there. So no worries. Great. Thank you. Thank you each. Commissioner Rogers, is there anything you'd like to contribute?
Well, thank you, Pam, for picking up that Friday OTC. I think we all got that invitation. I was very familiar with it, but I had a time commitment that particular day, but I appreciate doing that. As far as those Metro JPAC meeting, I somehow got invited to, and I said I'd go to the first couple of them. So not as a participant, but as somebody just as interested in, so I will be doing that. Met with Frank Bubenek for some period of time. He dealing with something I dealt with 40 years ago, and that's a shooting range in Tualatin, and we things that really don't change a lot in the years. It's the same issues. Again, one of the big issues down in this neck of the woods is that, as you probably know, the charter was interpreted by a city council in Tigard, and there's a lot of buzz and conversation going on. Jason Snyder will not be able to run this November, and so I think probably you're all aware of that. And Jason's done a good job, and I have always enjoyed working with him, but there will be a new mayor for sure in the Tigard area. I think we all, or not all of us, but most of us are going to that event on Thursday night. That ought to be interesting and see what's occurring there. I've got another meeting of our monthly work systems group tomorrow. That's always fun. Friday, we can't forget Diane and her great group who are putting together a half-day presentation on the budget, and she I think has that all handled. Thank you for the little goodie bag of notes. You think we're actually going to take notes and all that sort of thing? We will, but we'll probably do it. At least I do it on the document itself. The only other thing, and this is more for you, Jerry, than anybody, is that Rainbow Lane is come in and out of our two districts over historically. I can tell you, I have represented and not represented it many times, and now I represent it again. And their issue is unique. This board may need to deal with it at some point. And what it is they have an LID for improvement of that street, not unlike everybody else has, but they have something different at the end of their little road, and that's called a boat launch. And I remember when that project came to us, there was this Boy Scout who wanted to make his Eagle Scout project. He did that. It's been successful, and now what's occurring is that those folks are taking a terrific amount of traffic, and they're saying, "Wait a minute, that wasn't kind of the deal. We can't sustain this. That's not what was going to happen." And so they're concerned, saying our LID worked real well when it was just for the homes that were in there, but now we're getting more regional traffic, and how, if anything, can the county help them? And that's it's an interesting problem. We've not had that issue, at least in my tenure here, where we've had an attractive. It's certainly not a nuisance. It's a great thing. It's an attraction at the end of a LID road that is really affecting them and saying, does the county bear no responsibility? So anyway, that's an interesting problem to deal with, and something we probably will in the future. But that's it.
Thank you, Commissioner Rogers. So for me, last week, I had the meeting with the Riggs Road neighborhood, gave me an opportunity to share with them the history of that area through the Urban and Rural Reserves program, and how it had been a rural reserve through the LCDC, the proposal that went to LCDC. You may recall that in October of 2010, LCDC remanded a couple of very specific items particularly with regard to Washington County, and maybe one not in Multnomah County. So then there was a new proposal that was adopted between Washington County Board of Commissioners and the Metro Council at a joint meeting that was held in the PSB auditorium in I believe, February of 2011. And as part of that proposal, Chair Dyke wanted an entirely different area, the one that we're talking about now, that was not part of the remand, changed to undesignated. I know as a Metro councilor, I voted against that amendment, but was in the minority. And so that designation change was made, and then that proposal was affirmed. That whole package was affirmed by LCDC later in the year, and then it went through the Court of Appeals process. And that's where then Mayor Jerry Willey and Thousand Friends of Oregon started meeting and met with legislators and other associated parties and came up with a proposal that the state legislature then heard on the Washington County Urban and Rural Reserves, which was then adopted through House Bill 4078. So here we are now with the comings and goings of that. On Wednesday at the Westside Economic Alliance Board of Directors meeting, there was a fond appreciation for Frank Angelo, who has sold his business and he's retiring. And for, gosh, a couple of decades, he's been the chair of the Transportation Committee. So John Holworth will be taking that over. Then we had a presentation on the Beaverton School District bond measure, and they are endorsing that as well. Then Thursday was an action-packed day for me. We had the second meeting of the Washington County Transit Committee. It was a good meeting where we went over the latest survey information, usage information, and then went over some opportunities for future improvements moving ahead. So good meeting as usual. There are 2 more meetings left in order to form up a proposal that will go to the House Bill 2017 committee. I also had the meeting with Brandon on the gas station setbacks. In preparing for that, what I learned is there are no jurisdictions in the state of Oregon that have any type of regulations around gas stations and where they're located. So that was pretty interesting. So obviously, if we're going to entertain anything for the urban unincorporated areas, that will need to be considered as part of our work plan moving forward. I also had another really interesting constituent meeting, and I learned more about shisha, which is the product that is used with hookahs. So some new information for me there. I'm looking forward to the WCVA National Travel and Tourism reception on Thursday, and I appreciate that multiple commissioners will be attending that. It will be for many attendees the first time that they are experiencing the event center. So it should be fun. For many, it's also going to be the first time that they've gotten together face to face as a travel and tourism network of counterparts. So yeah, that's about it. So, and yes, my nose is deep in the proposed budgets that we have, both for clean water services as well as for Washington County. And my hat's off to both of our executives for working with their staff to pull together the proposals that we have for our consideration. So thank you very much.
Can I add one thing?
Of course.
And what that is I also attended the Washington County Transit, and the chairs that meeting as well. And what always surprises me, and I'm not a participant, I'm just viewing, is the energy level. It's interesting. There's not a ton of money, as we probably all know, but it's interesting to see how engaged people are and how excited they are on that 2017 money and what's coming into Washington County. So I thought that was a good meeting. So I just wanted to add that.
Anything else from other commissioners? Seeing none, we'll move on then to leadership communication. Ms. Angie, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Good morning, Chair Harrington, Board of Commissioners. First, I want to extend appreciation to your board for the support of the Good Jobs program. I do want to lift up one aspect of that program will further our learning as an agency in data and evidence-based practices and policies. So I'm really looking forward to the technical support from Results of America in this free training that is being provided to county staff from their national organization. The board's aware that our proposed budget is posted on the county website. I do want to highlight two aspects. This year, we have produced a series of videos for community, as well as if your board is interested to watch to learn more about the budget process. Number two, there has been some past constituent emails, as well as there was interest during the budget orientation in understanding more about the budget equity tool. There is a link to the budget equity tool listed on our website in the series of links in the 2022-2023 county budget reports. So I just wanted to share that information with you, as well as those in our community that are listening. Hard copies of the budget are available for board members tomorrow. And I know some of you are looking forward to the pages because it can get quite cumbersome trying to scroll through the many screens of a PDF document. And that concludes my update.
Can I ask a clarifying question?
Mhm.
Given the questions I'm already receiving in public forums, is the current proposed budget a balanced budget right now?
The proposed budget is absolutely a balanced budget. That is a responsibility that I have to your board to present a proposed budget. As your board is aware, our revenues are outpacing our expenditures. We've been talking about that the last few years. And so this proposed budget does start to set out financial strategy and sustainability planning process. We are not unlike other local government agencies who are realizing the same compounding pressures, increasing community need, current property tax system, increase in mandates, inflation, and all of those pressures are discussed within my proposed budget message. So feel free to take the time to read that. I would encourage you to read that and encourage the community to read that as well. And we, as a Washington County organization, from a staff perspective, are fully committed to continuing to evolve our operations to meet community need. And in addition, I'm really thrilled that we said we would not only start a budget equity process, but we successfully did that with no net increase in expenditures to do so. So I just want to spread appreciation to staff teams across the county for really embracing that, because it demonstrates equity in practice.
So I want to compliment you and your team. I have read the whole first part of the budget summary, and now I'm working through the various parts. And you did a really good job of laying out for folks what sort of challenges and opportunities and improvements you have made in our systems and in our service delivery, and what the trends are, and also what challenges are we facing as a county government providing vital services to our community. So I know I appreciate all of the problem solving that you and your team have gone through to craft this proposed budget. And I believe it's incumbent upon all of us to make sure, as there is frankly misinformation being circulated about this published proposed budget, that we clarify for folks. No, We don't have all the resources we would like in order to do all the things that we would like as one Washington County, but we do have a proposed budget, and we are continuing to problem solve moving forward to see how we can also do things differently than what we have today. So kudos, Ms. Angie.
Thank you. And I share that kudos very deeply with deep gratitude to the team here at Washington County, because I am truly just one person. I also want to just add, Chair, your comments made me reflect on, we also as a staff team are committed to transparency. And as we move forward in crafting our community strategic plan, having a clear understanding of our financial context is incredibly important so that we together can have informed conversations.
More information than any of us have ever had, and it's wonderful. Thank you. Mr. Carr, over to you.
Good morning, Chair Harrington. I'm going to provide a very brief update on some litigation that you're aware of and just keep you up to speed on the three things that are going on, or three of the things, perhaps four. First, Ridwell against Washington County. As I've reported previously, we've moved to dismiss that case. That is fully briefed and before the court. Both sides have asked for oral argument. The court has not scheduled oral argument. That's, of course, a matter that's in the discretion of the court. We will either get a decision or a request for oral argument after the judge has an opportunity to review the papers. Polanski against Washington County, that is the challenge to the board's tobacco ordinance. That, as you know, is on a very quick timeline because that matter is on the ballot for May 17th, and those ballots have already been mailed. So the parties have agreed to and the court has agreed to an incredibly expedited briefing schedule. Summary judgment motions are due today, May 3rd. Responses to those summary judgment motions are due May 6th, Friday. Oral argument before the court is scheduled for May 9th. Jason Bush and John Mansfield in our office are doing an incredible job working under those type timelines to handle that litigation for the county. And then finally, there is Dixon against Mclaren. That is the challenge. That is the challenge to the Metro County Council's decision to not place an initiative on the ballot redirecting the SHS funding from housing to shelter. The Metro County Council determined that it was not an appropriate initiative because it was administrative in nature and not legislative, which the Constitution requires, and also because it did not include the entire language of the measure as required by the Constitution as well. The parties had a scheduling conference on April 29th. The judge has under advisement the various parties' motions to intervene. I believe there are 5 parties who sought to intervene, all on the side of the respondent, Kerry Mclaren. There's a hearing tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. on the motions to intervene. The hearing ultimate on the merits is scheduled for May 20th. If the court allows parties to intervene, the briefing will be due on May 10th with responses on May 17th, with again oral argument on May 20th. If the court does not allow the parties to intervene, it will just be the 2 or some subset of that. All the briefs are still scheduled on that tight timeline. This, of course, is for the November election, not the May election, so it's not as tight as the other one. However, the law requires that it be done in an expedited manner to give a petitioner the most time to gather signatures, because, of course, this has not been approved for signature gathering yet, and they would need to undertake that for the metro area very quickly. I see a couple of hands up. I'm happy to answer questions.
Go ahead, Commissioner Rogers.
Tom, we're always on a tight timeline, so I don't want to expand on this too much, and you may just want to send us a note unless you can answer it quickly. And in regard to the tobacco ordinance, I guess I don't fully understand what role it may or may not play in this particular issue if the court goes one way or another way. Is that something that we're going to see again in the next 2 weeks, or?
Well, I fully expect the court to dismiss the lawsuit. I think there's really good law, but if the court, the relief requested is that it be stricken from the ballot and the ordinance effectively be repealed by the court. which is an extraordinary remedy. So the court could do that. I will apprise you based on what the court does, and we will know on Monday, I would expect.
So if they dismiss it, just real quickly, if they dismiss it, then, we're done with that process. If they continue it because they want additional information, then what impact at all do we have? We don't have any role, I don't think, do we?
No, you do not. There's nothing that you can do right now.
Okay, that's what I wanted.
One of the questions that came up was, can we do something on the ballot? And of course, the ballots have already been mailed, so there's nothing we can do.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
So my question, Mr. Carr, is back on the Ridwell versus Washington County. And my question goes to both you and Ms. Angie. I'm wondering if you or your staff have any indication if community members are clear that the action that we took applies to the urban unincorporated areas only and not to the cities.
Well, Chair Harrington, I think there's much confusion over that. In Ridwell's complaint, they only talk about the county. They don't say the words unincorporated, to my recollection. Right. So I don't know. I assume that they know that we regulate only the county, but I do believe there's a great deal of confusion over what exactly the board's role is in this and whether or not it applies within the cities.
Yeah. So I think what our staff has put on our website is very clear. Though when I look at the constituent responses, it sends folks just to the web page, and I was wondering if, based upon the clarity that all of us have, if that constituent message in response to the emails could just make it clear that Washington County's authority applies just to the areas outside of cities. Because I continue to get lots of folks who are living in cities asking me questions, and it's like, sorry, you have to go talk to your city councils. I can't help you. So that's all. And if I haven't said it enough, I really appreciate all the work and the information that our staff has put out there. I mean, Thomas Eggleston and company, the whole communications team, it's great information. So thank you.
And Chair, we will clarify that in future constituent emails. Thank you for raising that observation.
Yeah. Commissioners, I know I'm not the only one who's been greeted with questions, particularly from Tigard and Tualatin. Commissioner Rogers, have you gotten any feedback or questions like I have?
Not from any constituents, only from electeds, but they clearly understand that this is something to do in the unincorporated area. So I'm not certain where the confusion is. I would add that I appreciate, Chair, that you took that release. That was that press meeting. It was important that I think the message get out that this board has to look at some 97% or 98% or whatever it was. Well, no more than that. It was 99 point some percent of what we were dealing with. And I thought that message was well delivered. So anyway, I just wanted to say that.
Thank you. Commissioners, any other questions for Mr. Carr? All righty.
Chair Harrington, there was one other thing that I assume the board knows this, but I just wanted to say it publicly. As you know, in the Lynn County against Oregon State litigation involving the timber, the Court of Appeals reversed the Lynn County Circuit Court decision last week. The rested on the ground that there was no legislative contract between the state and the counties, and therefore they didn't need to raise a question of interpreting a contract. Obviously, people are considering an appeal, and I'll keep you up to date on next steps in that litigation.
Thank you. Over to you, Ms. Taniguchi Dennis, for Clean Water Services.
Thank you, Chair Harrington, and good morning, Board of Clean Water Services. There is a privy council for the board. As we know, with our March and April rain showers, we look forward to it bringing May flowers. But the great news is that's also the target date, and Hag Lake has reached capacity. So it looks like we'll have a good dry season this year. There was an update on the sewer monitoring work, and we're planning for a tour of the Upper Tualatin River watershed for our local leaders from our partner cities and special districts on June 3rd. So we're hoping if any of you can, with your busy schedules, it's from 8:30 to 1:30 p.m. The team is looking forward to the budget committee meeting, and they've been working on their presentations on Friday. And I really want to give a shout out to Mark Jockers, the whole government and public affairs team, and in particular Stephanie Morrison for making that day special for everyone. And they're just so looking forward. We wanted to make sure you had all the materials that you needed for a successful budget committee meeting. So thank you, and we'll see you on Friday.
I've never had a payday candy bar before, so I'm looking forward to opening that up on Friday. Thank you very much for keeping it fun. That's going to be great. So, all righty. Anything else, commissioners or leadership staff, before we pause this meeting to head over to our Housing Authority Board meeting as well as our business meeting?
The only issue I have is on C7. I want to take that off the consent agenda and maybe get a little information on that. I have some questions.
Okay, we'll take it off the consent agenda.
Thank you.
So we'll have 16 items, and we'll bring that under action so we can get some further information on that.
So,
I looked at the at first I was wondering about that myself, Commissioner Rogers, and then I looked at the detail that was in there in the packet on it as well. And so, okay. Yep.
so
Anything else, commissioners?
Madam Chair, if I may, so I just want to update the board that we have several people signed up to testify at the board meeting at the beginning, at the end. So I'm kind of juggling it to allow for the 10 minutes at the beginning, and then I've emailed other members to let them know that they will be at the end of the meeting.
Okay, okay. And board members, there will be some folks who are coming to testify with regard to the preschool for all proposal. The program proposal that, as Commissioner Treese mentioned, is now under consideration by a pre-referral committee. And we had previously discussed the request from that group to want to have Washington County staff participating to flesh out what might be involved. And from our commission, we did not have a majority willing to provide direction to Ms. Angie to scope out what it might take and involve to satisfy that need. So my question to you is, and also I'm looking for advice from Mr. Carr and Ms. Angie. Would it be useful for me, either upfront or after people testify, to explain that's where we're at, or just do the usual and just listen?
From my perspective, I think it would be helpful if you did it up front so people understood the context. But there's no legal rule one way or the other.
Go ahead, Commissioner Willie.
So what exactly would your message be?
Well, I'll certainly work on a briefer statement, but essentially that the there was a preschool for all task force that put together a program proposal. They've transitioned that work over to a pre-referral committee. And that pre-referral committee asked us if Washington County staff could be available to satisfy some information questions that they have. We as a board talked about that, and we did not have a majority of commissioners willing to ask Ms. Angie what might be involved for staff to participate in those discussions. So right now, Washington County is not involved at all, is the message.
But that's consistent with every other initiative that has come to us. I mean, so one of my concerns that I voiced was that we do this for one, we do it for all of them, and we certainly don't have the capacity to do that. I'm not sure how pertinent it is that they know. Once again, I'm imagining that the testimony is going to be the importance of this initiative and the importance of providing preschool for 3 and 4 year olds. I guess I don't know what the importance of why we'd have to communicate what our decision was. They're gonna, I think the whole conversation is going to be about the importance of preschool. So.
Thank you, Commissioner Willie. Go ahead, Commissioner Treese.
Commissioner Willie, I'm not. I don't know if you're right or not about whether or not we scoped for example, the Washington County Kids Program. We didn't. Okay, I'm just asking for clarity there. I would be in favor of the chair starting that discussion, because it lets people know, if they hadn't attended that April 5th meeting where we had a thumbs up, thumbs down on scoping, at least what the status was within the county, and that we were not going to be moving forward with the scoping. That's my thought. I'm worried about an assumption that the county is supporting this moving forward that at this point is not there. That's what I'm concerned about, Commissioner Willie. So the clarity of what happened on April 5th, I just think it's not only for the people that are testifying, but it's for all those who may be listening during that testimony. That's what I'm thinking about.
Okay, I just wanted to know what the messaging was, because for me, it's important that the message also reflect the fact that we have not done this previously for any other initiative, and we do not want to set the precedents. And so it wasn't that we don't like this program, it's just we didn't want to set the precedents, and our staff don't have the capacity to do it.
Well, that was not a message. That may have been a message that you articulated on April 5th, but that was not a message that the board expressed at that April 5th meeting.
That's exactly what I did at that April 5th meeting. I said exactly what I just said.
I agree with you.
We don't have capacity and everything. So I just want the message to be accurate, and not that we don't like this program or we don't support this initiative eventually, potentially. But I just want the message to be accurate as to why we said no.
So Commissioner Willie, I believe I agree with you that you said that. I did not hear 2 other commissioners say that they supported that as well. Okay.
They voted for it. It's 3-2. They voted for it, so they must have supported it. Okay. I don't care, Chair. You communicate any message that you deem necessary on that, but I think I've communicated my message, and if I don't hear that, then maybe I will at some point in time chime in on that as well.
So Commissioner Fye, I did not hear you agree with the statement Commissioner Willie made on April 5th. Okay, So that's why I'm trying to accurately represent what it is. There was a majority of 3 that did not support giving direction to Ms. Angie. And I believe I'm accurately representing that.
Thank you, Chair Harrington. I don't think I articulated, or maybe I didn't explicitly explain, but my position on that was, I did voted no. I was the other commissioner that voted no to direct Tanya to scope this project. And 2 reasons, you know, I think one I articulated, and then to just reiterate, I would say, I didn't feel like we had the capacity for our staff in terms of some of the issues that are, so it was a capacity reason for my end as well.
So frankly, I don't think this is worth mixing words at all. Commissioner Willie, you know, we can have a difference of opinion about what the majority said, and feel free to go back and watch the broadcast. But it's just not worth it to address something that, hey, if the community is confused, so be it. Okay. Anything else, commissioners? Go ahead, Mr. Carr.
Thank you, Chair Harrington. I noticed that that 2 of the people who signed up to speak at the beginning of the meeting are speaking on Ordinance 883, which is scheduled for a public hearing later in the meeting. The public hearing is closed. There's no testimony being taken, but the rule doesn't say that. It doesn't say that nobody where there's testimony, but it just says public hearing. So under the terms of the rule, that's prohibited. I understand in the past the commission has agreed to waive the rule to hear people. That's up to you. I don't want to set a precedent, however, that people can come and avoid the rule by just speaking at the beginning of the meeting. So I'd ask if the commissioner wants to hear those 2 people, commission wants to hear those 2 people, that you have a vote to waive the rule to allow it or disallow it. It's up to you. Thank you.
No, this is one of those where I really don't know that we've had much of a situation in the past. Commissioner Rogers?
We've had that. Thank you, Tom, for bringing that up. We've had that situation, but it's been a long time. We would close a hearing and people wanted to come back and get another bite by coming under the 2 minutes, and it's really not fair because it's only one side you're hearing. And so I would encourage us, if somebody wants to say something about the proposal at the end, let them come at the 5 minute at the end. But up front before a vote is not, in my mind, appropriate.
Any other commissioners have thoughts on this? Okay, we'll stay the course then on that. Thank you very much. So either I or Clerk Moss or you, Mr. Carr, can explain to folks who've signed up on that matter that there is no public hearing on that matter today. It's closed, but if they wish to provide comment, they can do so at the second public comment period, if I heard you correctly.
That's correct, Chair Harrington.
Clerk Moss, would you like to make that announcement, or would you like me to, or Mr. Carr?
I am happy to make it for you, Madam Chair, when we get to that on the agenda.
Okay, terrific. All right, well, we'll see you on the appropriate Zoom link for our Housing Authority Board of Directors and Board of Commissioners meeting. Thank you.